Hi, and welcome to today's Biznology Digital Marketing webinar. I'm Mike Moran, founder of Biznology and a senior strategist at Conversion, a leading social consultancy. I'm the co-author of Search Engine Marketing, Inc. and the sole author of Do It Wrong Quickly. My new book, Outside In Marketing with James Mathewson, is available for pre-sale now. I'm a veteran of IBM, managing groups at IBM.com for 8 years, and retiring from IBM in 2008 as a distinguished engineer. Today you'll be hearing from Chris Abraham, who'll present Do-It-Yourself Influencer Marketing. But before we can start, we need to recognize our sponsors. Barn Raisers, a full-service digital and social media solutions company that builds brands using proven relationship principles and ROI. Gagalamp empowers companies to amplify their social media content by leveraging employees, partners, and resellers. Try Gagalamp for free today. Gerris Corp, a full-service digital strategy firm that reaches deeper into the conversation than any other agency anywhere. Solo Segment, your one-stop shop for targeted B2B content marketing techniques, including website search and website personalization. As we wait for more attendees to join, let me review the format of our webinar. Our Biznology webinars last just 30 minutes. You can easily fit them into your busy schedule. We record each webinar and we'll email you that link later this week. During our speaker's presentation, you can use GoToWebinar to ask a question. That orange arrow opens and closes your controls. If you have a question, simply type it into the box labeled Questions at any time during the event and press the Send button. I will select a few questions at the end of our webinar and pose them to Chris. While we're waiting for our last few attendees to join, I'd like to remind you that the Biznology monthly newsletter and daily articles are available for free at biznology.com. So if you're not already a subscriber, we hope you'll sign up now. Thanks again to all of you for spending 30 minutes with us. We know how valuable your time is, so let's introduce today's speaker. Chris Abraham is one of our Biznology authors and a digital strategist and technologist. He's a leading expert in search engine optimization, online relationship management, internet privacy, and online public relations with a focus on blogger outreach, blogger engagement, and internet crisis response. Chris is founder and principal consultant of Gerris Corp, an agency devoted to online brand promotion and protection through influencer outreach and engagement. So if you've ever struggled with getting your social media campaigns noticed, this is the webinar for you. Chris, take it away.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I usually do blogger outreach webinars, but I wanted to back it off a little bit into influencer marketing. Influencer marketing basically brings marketing online away from platforms and makes it more agnostic. In general, influencer marketing focuses on specific key individuals or specific types of individuals. In this case, individuals generally have access to a conversational platform, whatever that platform is. Anyone who has a platform I consider to be an influencer if they have a certain level of sway in that space. While my focus is blogger outreach, because I realize that bloggers in many cases have platforms all over the place. They tend to cross-promote their blogs on social media endlessly. There's also an amazing group of influencers on YouTube. There's message boarders, there's influencers on MailChimp, there's people who own lists. It's just incredible. I mean, one of the most amazing ones that I'm jealous of and that I'm a big consumer of is YouTubers. Any and all of these, even, as you know, on Vine and Periscope, they've become huge influencers in that space, to the point where they've become internet sensations / celebrities. And it's really important now to go ahead and engage online influencers with influencer marketing, because within the last 6 months to a year, Google has finally started enforcing a lot of its requirements, and proof of life is one of the most important ones, which is to say, if you don't have an engaged community around your brand, you might, in fact, have a brand that's just on autopilot, a zombie or a robot. Influencer marketing is not marketing. It's really PR and relationship. It's more salesmanship or account management. where you have to kind of create a persistent relationship with someone and not just pushing copy to someone and expecting them to follow through. They're not your employees. I get friends all the time who ask me, can I send a message to my bloggers? Each and every time I reach out to them on behalf of my clients, they might be part of an entirely different vertical or entirely different segment. And so, I don't always know these people. I'm not a commander of armies. Influencers are not reporters. They're not waiting for you to assign them a story. And they don't follow your requirements, and they don't give you back your copy to edit. And they're not fire and forget. First of all, it's hard to get into their space and get their attention. It's important to reach out to them a few times. But after that, it's important to maintain the relationship, and it's important if they promise something to you to follow up almost to the point of annoyance. But it's not that they're ignoring you, while they might be, but it's just the assumption that everybody has a lot going on. If you ask Mike Moran how easy it is to get me to do something, he'll say, well, I guess Chris is a blogger first and foremost, but you gotta squeak a few times to get me to do something as well. The same thing holds true for the blogosphere. We're all busy, and most bloggers aren't doing it as their first job. Like I said before, influencer marketing is platform agnostic. I come back in 2002 when I started with New Media Strategies, and we did cyber striking on message boards and forums, and we reached out to message board owners, and we didn't even think about reaching out to bloggers or anybody like that. We certainly didn't think about reaching out to Friendster and MySpace, but now it's evolving. There's still bloggers. It seems to be a resurgence for blogging. Blogging's become sexy again. Shorter form pieces have grown into larger form pieces, but you can't. It's a continuum. You might want to spend all your time on Pinterest or on Periscope or on Vine because it's the latest and cool thing. But to be honest, there's a continuum, and if the people you're marketing are still on message boards, you really should come up with a campaign for that. It's not about you. It's not about the platform. It's about the influencer. I don't need to read all these for you. There's different types of influencer marketing campaign. At the very last, there's bloggers. I like reaching out to bloggers because I can email them, and there's a lot of really interesting tools that allow me to organize, research and organize, engage and track bloggers. And bloggers generally have, because there's focused on self-promotion, they generally have a huge followership in an entire assortment of social media platforms, including YouTube. A lot of people have their brand marketing, so you really need to be looking across the spectrum. But I find bloggers the most convenient first step. When I reach out to bloggers, if I don't have their email address, I will expand to engage them on other platforms. So how do you find them? I hate to say it, I'm going to go through some other tools, but I hate to say it, Google is your friend. And, don't search Google just for foodies or mommies. Be smart. Look for meta lists. A lot of people have done the work for you already. If you're looking for, lists of top influencers on Twitter, type that. If you're looking for lists of foodie bloggers, type top foodie bloggers or best foodie bloggers or top 10, top 50. You'll be surprised once you start going down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of people who have done all the heavy lifting for you. Another way that I didn't include here are meta lists such as Twitter lists, and I should have included Tracker. There's a lot of different places where you can find social media influencers online, some of which I'm going to go into now. But, one thing that before I go to the next slide, one thing that I've noticed recently since my girlfriend is trying to make our cat an internet sensation is that you really can, find your birds of a feather. You can really find the people left and right of your campaign using hashtags, especially on, Facebook, especially on Instagram. Here are some tools that I definitely love to use. I use them all except Little Bird. I haven't yet dropped a dime on Little Bird, but the other guys I've used quite a bit. Audienti is the most interesting to me at the moment, but I think that out of all of them, GroupHi is what I use the most. Google Search is an excellent tool for meta search. Did I have two of those? Well, anyway, these are different ways of looking for it, but here's the Google search page. So what I do, my personal strategy is I open Chrome and then I search for something to the effect of top foodie blog or best foodie blog or best, amazing foodie blog or top 10. And then I do a lot of right-clicking and sending things off to tabs. And then when I kind of maximize all of my RAM, I tend to go explore, down those particular pages. So what I do is I keep an Excel spreadsheet open, and I dump all that stuff either into a text document or an Excel spreadsheet so that I can collect them all at once, then I can dedupe them, and then I can kind of break them apart in terms of the ones that work for me. I find that doing a lot of harvesting and then doing quality control, like pick all the apples, pick all the corn, and then run them past yourself and do the quality control. There are a lot of faux blogs now that are in fact SEO honeypots, and you don't really want to engage them. And there's also a lot of blogs. I say that blogs are kind of gadflies. They come in hot and heavy, and then they go out of business really fast. So even on tools like GroupHi, InkyBee, etc., you can find a lot of blogs that haven't been blogged about recently. So you need to make a factor doing the quality control and discernment. Same thing can be said about Twitter, Facebook, etc. Nobody likes a social media ghost town, but there are so many social media ghost towns, and you don't want to waste your time engaging with someone who would have to reactivate their whole industry in order to help you out. It's a waste of your time. Audienti is pretty interesting. Audienti is the first tool that has tried to put marketing automation into social media. You put in, and it's got a goal of SEO. You put in your URL, you put in your competitors' URLs, you put keywords in, and then you let it kind of grind overnight, and it tells you how your SEO is based on mods, etc., SEMrush and Ahrefs. And then it goes ahead and looks at the entire social media world, looks for people who mentioned you, looks for people who mentioned your competitor, and then puts it into kind of a CRM. And then one step further, if you find all the influencers you want or upload a spreadsheet of URLs like I was just suggesting you collect, then you can actually set up logical flows where if someone isn't following you, follow them. If they follow you back, send them a DM. If they, or send them an email. You can actually do an entire engagement process with an influencer, completely automated based on workflow and if-then, yes, no's. And at the end of the day, you will have to engage that particular influencer, but 85% of all of your engagement can be mocked up well in advance, including variables and so forth. Pretty interesting tool. GroupHi, it's the bread and butter of persistent online influencer outreach campaigns. It's sort of like Salesforce for blogger and influencer outreaches. For example, here's the blogger that my girlfriend hired last week in Paris to show her around the foodie world of Paris. Like, my girlfriend's a hyper fan. And here's an example of her total reach, which is 186,000. Her blog reach is 50,000 people, her social reach, etc. A little bit of stuff about her, and it allows you to take down her email, her Twitter, take notes on her, put attachments. It allows you to go ahead and workflow other people. It's a really interesting tool, and I can do all of my email engagements from it, and I can do all of my social media engagements from it too. And then over time, I go in generally and fire and forget. Like, I work for other clients, and so if they're, doing something about a dating site, I'm not dating, but I get in there and I reach out to dating bloggers. So a lot of my relationships are cross-campaign. And when I keep notes in GroupHi, I can see that I've reached out to this person for Robert F. Smith before, or for IFIC before, and then I can make that connection. Hey, you might know me from, from the IFIC campaign persons that I reached out to 4 or 3 months ago. I really love it for its continuity. InkyBee I use, it's growing. It's a UK-based company. It is a great place to kind of figure out who's in your space. It does persistent searches so that you can go ahead and put a keyword in there and let it grind, and it'll keep on looking for people based on, how much readership there is, whether it's it's been updated in the last 3 months, etc. And it allows you to import and export at will, and it also has some note-taking and tracking services. But when I finish a campaign and I get everybody who's done social media mentions for me, I go in there and I upload all the URLs and I find out exactly the impact for reporting time. SM2 is more of a listening tool. It allows you to kind of figure out what people are saying about you online. But what I do in advance of writing proposals or reaching out to influencers, I'll do a kind of a 6-month to 2-year recon on them and then find out all the social media mentions surrounding them. When it comes to blogger outreach, I like it because it really allows me to find people that aren't already being harnessed by InkyBee, Little Bird, and all the other scrapers. It allows me to find people who aren't bloggers, blogs, but generalist blogs that talk about something that I'm interested in engaging with them about. So it's a lot of stuff to go through, but I find some very valuable diamonds in the rough there. It's really important, no matter what, you need to pursue the people behind their tech and rep. You need to kind of spend meaningful time together. If you are working for Edelman or whatever, and you're on a Ducati campaign, and you think that motorcycles are donor cycles, you really shouldn't be on that campaign. If you're doing persistent outreach work, you should be a superfan. You should at least emulate a superfan. And if you're not, you need to really work on your own celebrity. Because what I do, my secret is that when I reach out to people, I say that I'm a fellow blogger, with so-and-so blog. If the business blog is Biznology, if I'm trying to reach out to someone athletic, it's my new blog called Runner, which is very new and limited. But if it's Twitter, I talk about my 50.8 thousand Twitter followers and how I can help them share their stuff and how we can scratch backs. But you really need to go ahead and get further than just collecting people. It's so essential. My Cloud 79, so I really go in saying, I'm one of you. You need to build that. If you're not a superfan, superfans are great. But even if you are a superfan, you need to go ahead and make sure that person knows about you and recognizes your name and face before you ask them favors. Otherwise, they're going to lead everything with the price tag. Drop the veil. Like I said, if you only do it because it's an order for your boss, or you're really insulted because you're not doing schmoozy work with real people and going out to, Arkansas to hang out with the client, and you're relegated to, spending all your time online geeking out with these losers and rabbit, slippers, you really have to adjust your attitude or find a different gig and give the gig to someone who really understands the majesty and the amazing efficacy and the SEO power and the business acumen and the real heart associated with the social media sphere. You need to love it. If you can't, it will come across badly, and people will say, you need to pay me or fuck off. Because contempt and eye rolling can easily be sensed across the internet wires. The pitch messaging in the media, you need to stop selling and start informing. You need to get down to, I don't know if you've ever been on media, but you need to turn your pitch into something that's very neutral, very neutral. Don't pitch like a used car salesman. You don't need to sell anybody. You're reaching out to a blogger so that they share it, or an influencer so that they share it with their followers, right? Pinterest influencer wants to share things to their board. They don't want to be sold things directly. This is sort of a resell pitch. You know, get people on board with Avon instead of getting people on board with buying Avon. You need to keep the messaging simple. I boil it down to only plain text. I never include inline images, and I avoid any design at all. And I don't stop at one. I reach out 3 times with each email. Or if it's to someone else, I'll reach out 3 times via, you know, Facebook Messenger or via a DM or an @ reply. Like I'll even take it when I reached out on behalf of Mizuno. I took it all the way to like going into someone's profile on Daily Mile and messaging them there. But you can't assume that they're going to respond to you after one time. You know, it oftentimes takes 3 times. I know that in historical Judaism, they make you knock on the door 3 times before they admit you into conversion. I think it's really interesting to remember that you need to go ahead and get past the front door. You need to show that you're really committed and that you're not wasting anybody's time. Bloggers have been hurt before. And then pre-masticate the message like the mommy bird. Give them a resource page, a landing page. I call it an SMR. Other people call them newsrooms, social media newsrooms. I even pre-masticate things so much that with my news facts, you can click on that little button that says tweet, and it'll spawn a Twitter thing with all the hashtags and @ replies and everything like that. You need to do it because people aren't going to just sit there and ponder or explicit themselves. The easier you can make it, the less intrusive and fun and meaningful, the better. And then before I end, it really is about the gift. The gift doesn't have to be $250 because someone gave you the rate card. I heard someone on a pitch yesterday who sells furniture. He's so heartbroken that nobody wants to cover his awesome mid-century modern furniture store. And he just has to write checks and checks and checks. I told him it's because he's in no place to ask favors. He needs to, you know, he's not cool. Like nobody wants to, people don't get him. Like they want to get someone that they understand. You know, but if you're going to give a book, give the person a book in the way they want to read it. Not, you know, you don't drop ship them a book if they ask for a Kindle version. You don't give people an app when they're doing it for, you know, a private beta that you want to review them, a new app. You don't just say, well, I'll give you 3 months free. You say, you're a founding member. You have this bugger free for life. And if you're promoting shoes, you know, give shoes and give lots of shoes. Give shoes to them and their family and let everybody try shoes and give them shoes for them to go ahead and share on Twitter and Facebook. Allow them to have their own contests. Don't be cheap, you know. People are spending $50,000, $150,000, $500,000 a month on AdWords and PPC. They really need to kind of stop with the whole cheap to bloggers thing, because otherwise they're going to require you to pay them cash. And that might make more sense to you. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. A lot of content to come to all at once. Everything here is going to be on my SlideShare. And if they give me the video, it'll be on my YouTube, and it'll be on the Biznology site really soon, Biznology blog, and on YouTube as well. It may be under SlideShare. You can reach me at chrisabraham.com. You can reach me at Gerris Corp, or Twitter, or Facebook, or even Google+, although I might not see you, or see me ride motorcycles on YouTube, and visit my new attempt to get healthy after finding myself at 313 pounds. Anyway, on to you, and thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. I'm sure our attendees have a much stronger idea of how to reach out to social media influencers, but you didn't answer every question. I've got several good questions from our audience teed up for you. And I'd like to remind our audience it's not too late to ask your own question by typing it into the questions box in your GoToWebinar controls. Before we get to the questions, I'd like to tell you about my new website search online course sponsored by Solo Segment. How do you make sure your visitors can find the information they need? How do you keep your content relevant to searchers? You aren't an IT person and you don't need to be. Learn how to tame your website search problems. Go to courses.solosegment.com to try the first module for free. We're about to start firing questions at Chris, but we need to thank our sponsors once again. Barn Raisers, a full-service digital and social media solutions company that builds brands using proven relationship principles and ROI. GagaLamp empowers companies to amplify their social media content by leveraging employees, partners, and resellers. Try GagaLamp for free today. Gerris Corp, a full-service digital strategy firm that reaches deeper into the conversation than any other agency anywhere. Solo Segment, your one-stop shop for targeted B2B content marketing techniques, including website search and website personalization. Now on to your questions. Our first question is a really simple one. Is there a more affordable alternative to Audienti?
Is there a more affordable alternative to Audienti? There are an assortment of cheaper tools. You know, you can go to SEO Moz, you can use search. I do not know anybody else who can do the flow chart market automation for, you know, Twitter, etc., like that. I don't know any other tools that allow you to, but there's so many tools. Spy Boo or Ninja Boo, like there's all kinds of things that will let people, that will let you find out how your URL is performing and who your competitors are and all that kind of space. Most of them are free, and so you can cobble them together. And I think that up until now, Audienti has done that elegantly and in a persistent way. But now that they've added that marketing automation tool, it's in a league of its own.
Terrific. Next question. I am not outgoing. I want to do this, but what is the easiest first step for someone who doesn't have this come naturally?
Make that show. I mean, people find shyness adorable, right? People find it, someone like me who can just go onto a bus and start a sing-along, you know, that's too easy. When you go ahead and scrounge up your courage and, you know, walk up to someone and give them a daisy and say, hello, will you go to prom with me? That's one of the most endearing things in the entire world. So be honest. Say, I'm not generally comfortable with this, but I really have been, you know, I really am trying to grow my. Bloggers do that to each other all the time. They awkwardly say, I love your blog, and, you know, would you look at my blog? I'd really like to share it with you. So if you're awkward, lead with that, because there's a lot of arrogance in our space, a lot of douches in our space, and someone who's trying really hard to engage, even against their nature, is actually charmingly refreshing.
Terrific, terrific. Next question. If I have a budget and I don't need to do everything myself, should I hire someone to do this, or is it really better to do it yourself?
Well, I do that professionally as a third party, and the thing that I need my client to do is not exclude me. They need to, you know, make me a redheaded stepchild or a special ops. I need to be integrated into the messaging of the company, and I need to be able to extract from you that corporate historical tone and energy. And even if you do hire someone to do it for you, I would really insist on making sure that you have editorial control of landing pages, of email messages, of tweets, and that you do a lot of message modeling, because it'll help you. It'll help you in two ways. It'll train the person you're working with to better be able to speak on your behalf, so it's not always that case. But on the other hand, if you start building your brand, if you go to Biznology today to the blog, I wrote an article all about Ask a Blogger Out to Lunch, and I talk about how there's 3 things you need to really kind of seduce a blogger into doing something for you for free. The first one is to be somebody. If you're already an internet celebrity and have a brand, if you're a fellow blogger, or if you're a cool kid, someone will do it because they can see a parody where you can help them down the road, and this immediate friendship would work. The second thing is, you know, you have a really amazing gift, and there's no doubt about it. You come with a sexy brand. You're really, you know, and then you target them really well. And the third thing is that you are actually a super fan. You know, enough of a fan to want to go ahead and, like my girlfriend just did, like hire someone in Paris to show you around. I mean, they're going to be besties for life. And so today I suggest that you take a little bit of your budget and you get to know some of the people in your space by hand, and then spend a little bit of time doing a pilot on your own. And that'll also help you, excuse my French, BS check anybody you hire in the future to make sure that they're doing well on your behalf and not just, phoning it home. But it is persistent. It does take time. And if you do hire anyone, try to hire someone who's wiggly about, even if it's a company, try to make sure that they have someone who's really wiggly about your particular vertical, because, I don't know anything about yarning. So if someone hires me to do a blogger outreach for yarning, it's not even called yarning, is it? It's called knitting. I'm going to have to find someone. I'm going to have to hire someone to help me, do the matching for that, because I can't pretend to be that into knitting.
Very cool, Chris. But hey, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks to Chris for these great ideas. Thanks also for not starting a sing-along. And thanks especially to our audience for your participation and your questions. If any of you had questions that we didn't have time to answer, you can email your questions to Eileen, E-I-L-E-E-N, at MikeMoran.com, and she'll be sure to get them to Chris for the answer. Later this week, we'll send you all a link to the recording of this webinar to listen to again and to share with others. We also invite you to mark your calendars for our next Biznology webinar, Debunking Myths Around Sales Videos for Business, with Robert Weiss, scheduled for 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on April 26th. We hope to see everybody back there then. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.